PlayStation's transformation into a single-player, story-driven powerhouse continues with Days Gone. With a solid track record of delivering narrative-heavy games on portables, developer Bend Studios is presented with a chance to break out of Sony's more famous studio's shadows. That opportunity is Days Gone, a post-apocalyptic open-world action-adventure game starring a grizzled biker. First unveiled at E3 2016, Bend's game garnered much comparison to other Sony titles, particularly The Last of Us, and quietly flew under the radar. Now, after 6 years of development, Days Gone is here. Does it mark another impressive exclusive entry in the PS4's library, or should it be fed to the freakers? Days Gone picks up 2 years after the release of a catastrophic virus that turned much of the population into crazed creatures called freakers. You are Deacon St, a biker who lost everything during the outset of the outbreak and now wanders the countryside as a broken man. However, after a chance encounter, our protagonist finds meaning in life as he works to discover the truth about what happened that fateful night. Despite a rough and rather bland start, Days Gone slowly but surely builds Deacon up into an interesting protagonist. The story shines thanks to plentiful character interactions which form the backbone of the narrative. Deacon is the glue that brings all the threads together and becomes a crucial narrative driver thanks to strong writing and a performance from Sam Witwer. He's a well thought out and rounded character with a stereotypical facade at the start that melts and evolves into something greater by the time the credits roll. Overall, the narrative is solid, though very predictable. It leans heavily on post-apocalyptic tropes, including mysterious science organizations and fanatical cults. It all melts together into a compelling package, but don't expect too many surprises from this plot. Do expect to spend easily 25 hours in a story that, at times, can drag, but overall delivers a worthwhile experience. Days Gone takes place in the Farewell Wilderness, a large, fictional expanse in Oregon filled with dense forests, deserts, farmlands, and mountains. In the game, players partake in a variety of story and side missions that are typical of the open-world genre. Bounties, supply runs, tracking and hunting, and checkpoint clearing are some of the mission types you'll find during Deacon's adventure. It's highly derivative of other open-world games, but there are two important factors that keep things fresh: the ecosystem and motorcycle. The introduction of freakers into the world's ecosystem adds variety into traversal and combat since, unlike zombies, they possess their own behavioral patterns. Time of day and weather become important factors when tackling these creatures, especially since they're sensitive to light and attracted to sound. However, attacking freaker nests during the day means more enemies flood out when trying to destroy them. Freakers add plenty of unpredictability to Days Gone and will keep you on your toes, and there's nothing more terrifying than a horde of freakers barreling towards you. Deacon's life revolves around his bike, and so will yours during your playthrough. Handling the bike is smooth and intuitive, and Deacon can further enhance it through an intricate customization system filled with upgrades and cosmetic options. It's fun to drive the bike through forests and use ramps to fly over freakers, but it does come with a downside: maintenance. You'll need to constantly repair the frame and refuel the tank, which is an intriguing concept on paper. The idea is to foster a relationship between you and the bike, but the process becomes tedious due to how often it needs to be refueled and repaired. After a few hours of play, it's a feature you'd wish was gone. It's not just the mission design that feels overly familiar, as Days Gone also samples some of the best gameplay mechanics of recent open-world games. With a heavy focus on stealth and gunplay, Days Gone feels familiar, but it makes it all mostly work. Deacon has a large grab bag of tools to help players craft a gameplay experience they're most comfortable with. Binoculars allow him to tag opponents, crafting supplies allow for the creation of traps, distractions, and bombs, and his trusty knife allows him to quietly and gruesomely dispatch enemies. Not original, no, but the stealth mechanics and tools make wandering from bush to bush fun and satisfying. The best part of Days Gone's combat is the melee, thanks to the wide variety of weapons Deacon can pick up or craft. Every weapon feels brutal and powerful, and the game makes performing combos and switching between attacking enemies a breeze. Melee is empowering and engaging, but the same can't be said for gunplay. Using firearms feels boring and lifeless due to a lack of interesting scenarios and arenas for gunfights, and it doesn't help that the AI doesn't put up a challenge during firefights. The act of firing a gun feels loose, with the game overly relying on a bullet time mechanic to offer a level of precision that the controls lack. In conclusion, stealth and melee are Days Gone's strengths, not gunplay. Days Gone isn't the best looking PS4 exclusive ever made, but Bend Studios have still made a very good looking game. The world is breathtaking, with blades of grass blowing in the wind and rain turning dirt to mud. Character models and textures, particularly main characters like Deacon, are well detailed, although some of the supporting cast do look a bit off. While it all sounds positive, Days Gone does suffer from performance issues. The frame rate doesn't hold up well while riding throughout the world, and a few visual bugs do pop up from time to time. These inconsistencies mar what is otherwise a good-looking game. Like how the winding roads of Farewell Wilderness contain both serenity and danger, Days Gone is a ride with a winding range of emotions. Though Days Gone borrows heavily from other open-world titles, the game melds it all into an entertaining package that's more than the sum of its parts. The story lacks surprise, but the character arc of Deacon St. helps elevate the story beyond all the tropes. The bike and world's ecosystem add intrigue to the open-world formula, and the stealth and melee combat make this an enjoyable experience to play. Unfortunately, Days Gone does hit a few bumps when it comes to gunplay, bike maintenance, and performance, but overall, the game comes together fairly well. There's no denying that Days Gone borrows heavily, perhaps too much from other games, but Bend Studios has weaved it all together into a compelling product. The road may be a bit bumpy, but Days Gone is still worth a ride. As always, if you like this review, feel free to hit the like and subscribe button. Otherwise, for everything else gaming related, head on over to hardcoregamer.com for your fix.